Hey there, my name is RodneyJSmith, and this is the Mavic 2 Zoom. I first saw this drone on Casey Neistat's fantastic YouTube channel. I'll put a link to that video in the description below if you'd like to check it out, and you should. But when I saw that video, it made me think, wow, I would love to be able to capture footage like that using a drone like this. But I've never owned a drone before. I've never flown a drone. I don't even know if I'd know how to. Am I responsible enough to own one of these things? Well, apparently I answered that question already. I do have one. But this made me think, there's probably other people out there like me who are tempted by something like this, but just don't know if this is something that they could ever fly or even should attempt to. And so I wanted to make this video, which I'm calling, well, actually, let me show you. Just hang on tight. I don't like to admit it, but doing all of this probably took longer than what the rest of this video is going to require. Actually, it's only going to take about 10 minutes from this point forward for us to get the Mavic from the box and into the sky. So we're just going to go back in time to before I opened up the Mavic, and we're going to see how getting it unboxed and into the air works. So let's go inside and we'll get started. All right, the first thing you're going to need to do is get your drone out of the box. But this is not an unboxing video, so we're going to skip this step. All right, so here's what you should have found inside of your box. The drone, a remote control, charging cables for the battery, which comes pre-installed in the drone, 4 propellers, a replacement propeller, some cords for attaching your smart device to the remote control, along with 2 spare control sticks for the remote control, and we'll see where the original ones are in just a moment. First though, you're going to want to examine the remote control and the drone and find these various stickers and remove them. I've already taken a couple of them off because you don't want any of this sticky stuff on your drone when you're taking it for a flight. Once that's done, you're going to want to start charging your battery. So let's clear this other stuff out of the way and see how that works. To begin, you're going to need to extend these propeller arms, and you'll always do these ones first. Just apply a little bit of pressure and they'll swing right out. Then flip the drone over, and for these 2 arms, just pull them back like this. And sure enough, there's a couple more small stickers on the sides, and I see a couple in the back here as well that we should remove. On either side of the battery, you're going to find buttons, and you'll just press them in and pull up, and the battery comes right out. Next, find this side of the adapter and this side of the power cord and connect them. Now, before we plug the battery in and get it charging, we're going to plug in the remote so it can charge at the same time. And to do this, you need to pull the cord out, which is actually embedded in the side of the adapter. Then you're going to unplug this cord, which is on the left side of the remote, and that will expose a port here, which you'll then plug this cord into. Now we'll just flip the battery over and attach the other end of the charging cable to it like this. The next step is really simple. You just plug the cord into the wall, and after a few seconds, you should see some things light up. The remote readout, for example, is showing us that it's currently at 66%. We'll want to see this go to 100%. Meanwhile, the drone's battery has a circling light here that will go off once it's fully charged. Now, the manual says that an empty battery will take about an hour and a half to fully charge. So this is not exactly the most exciting part, but thankfully there's still some things we can do to keep getting our drone ready. Going back to the drone here, on the underside, you're going to find tabs on either side. But this one here, when opened, will expose a slot for a micro SD card. Now this is one that I picked up separately, and I'll install it by placing it in here, but I will mention that the drone itself comes with some onboard memory. So even if you don't have a micro SD card right away, you can start flying the drone and recording footage. Also, on the underside of the drone at the front, you're going to find this plastic encasement, and there's a little tab at the back here which you're just going to push up on and then pull this away moving forward. Do not fly your drone with this attached. This is so when you're transporting the drone, it will lock the gimbal in place and keep your camera protected. Next, I want you to look very closely at your propellers in this area because 2 of them will have a white ring and 2 of them will not. If you look at the end of the propeller arms, you'll notice that 2 of them are black and 2 of them are white. That's how you know where to attach each of the propellers. The black goes to black and the white goes to white. Other than those differences, the propellers all attach the same way. And what you'll do is flip the propeller over, and you'll notice there are 3 prongs on this side. And here, there are 3 open spaces. So you'll want to align the opening center hole over top of this, and then each of the prongs need to fall into each of those open spaces. Then you just push down and twist until the propeller locks into place. You'll know it's in place because now it doesn't pop out again. If you want to remove your propellers, you just push down and rotate in the opposite direction, and the spring mechanism inside will pop it out. When you're all done, it will look something like this, And you don't have to worry about opening up your blades at this time. The drone, when it's in operation, will automatically separate the blades once they start spinning. Also, you don't have to take these off when you're ready to fold the drone up. You can just close the arms in and the blades will fit into place. This is also a good time to search for and download the DJI Go 4 app onto your phone or smart device. The drone battery hasn't finished charging yet, but the remote has, so let's take a closer look at this while we wait by first extending the arms here at the bottom. And it's in here that we'll see the primary control sticks. You remember earlier when we looked at the contents of the box, there were 2 spares of these, but these are the primary ones that you'll use. You'll screw this end into each of the joystick areas of the controller, just like this. And while we're here, you might want to switch this to the center setting. The topmost one sort of unlocks the ultra speed mode of the controller, and for your first flight, you might not want that. Now you'll remember to charge this, we had to unplug this section here. So we're going to pop that back in. And then down here is where we plug in our smart device. Now I have an iPhone, and that's by default what's already here. But don't worry, if you have a different device, that's what these other cords are for. You simply would unplug this, unthread it, and then put in the cord attachment that's used for your device. Now, like I said, I have an iPhone here, and I have the end that I can just plug in like this. Now, I find it good to put my hand on the back side of the controller just to give it something to push against as I press it in. And then I'm going to close in these arms around my phone just to keep it snugly in place. Good news, the battery is ready and we can put it back into place. And you'll know it's in position when you hear the snap. Now we can actually turn the drone on, and you'll do this by pressing once to get a battery readout and then press and hold again. You'll hear the drone come to life, you'll see some flashing lights, some camera adjustments, and that's when you'll know it's ready to go. Now we can extend the antennas on top and give them a quick rotation so they look like this. And then we can turn on the remote, and you do this by pressing once here and then pressing and holding down. And sure enough, it's connecting and turning on. I'm also going to turn on my phone here and open the app, which I have here. Now, because I'm indoors and I don't want the drone accidentally taking off, I've actually removed the propellers just to make sure it can't go anywhere, because I do want to show you a little bit here in the app. So I'm going to tap Start on the bottom, and it's going to ask for a permission request. It would like to access my photos and my location. I'm going to say Set All on both of those, and I'm going to give it permissions here within the app as it prompts me. It's also going to give me a terms of use and privacy agreement, which I'll agree to, and I will not join the product improvement program right now, but maybe later. Either way, I am going to have to sign in. I'll just cut away to do this since this is my private login information. Now that I've logged in, it's informing me here that there's an update available, so I'll tap on that and I'll tell it to download the update now. You definitely want to perform any updates that it provides you with, as this can improve your flight experience and potentially correct mistakes in the software. Unfortunately, this is something else we're going to have to wait on, so we'll come back when this is done. Here I'm being told that I need to activate my Mavic 2, which I will do by saying next, and then I will authorize the activation. It's going to give me another terms of service that I have to agree to, which I will, and then it's going to ask me to name the aircraft. I'm going to skip through showing you all of these steps as they're a little more personalized for me, and really you just have to follow the instructions that the app provides you with. There is one screen I wanted to show you though, and it's this beginner mode, which you can turn off, but I'm going to leave it on, and this will restrict the drone from flying further than 30 meters away from me, which is not a bad idea for your first flight. After activating my device, it then asked me to download this precise FlySafe database update, which I will do, so a little more waiting to go. Alright, so after a series of downloads and updates, the app is almost ready, and you can see on screen what the drone is seeing right now. And also, the first time you open up the application, you're going to get little pop-ups around each of the menu items. It's like a little mini tour to let you know what each of these things do, and you can just tap to click around and through them. And as you can see here, I already clicked through all of them, and I'm at the end of that tutorial. But I just want to point out, in this video, I'm not going to be showing you all the various and many features of this drone. I just want to show you how to get it set up and into the air. There's definitely lots here for you to explore later. So we'll tap OK, and now it's time to take all of this outdoors and get it ready to fly. Okay, we're almost ready to fly the drone, I promise, but there's just one more thing you might want to do, and that's calibrate the drone. And you won't have to do this each time you make a flight, but you might want to do it before your first flight or anytime there's an accident, or if it just doesn't seem like it's flying correctly. So let's see how this works. So to calibrate, you tap in the top right-hand corner, then you tap in the top left-hand corner and scroll down to the advanced mode here. Tap that, and then scroll down to where you'll see sensors. You tap there, and then you'll see Calibrate IMU, which you tap to start the process. For these steps, it's a good idea to remove the propellers, and you'll also want to be on a very flat surface. And then the screens will tell you what to do. For example, now it's telling me to tilt the drone onto its side and leave it like that. Once it's calibrated to that side, it will then inform me to flip it to another side, and so on. For example, now it wants me to flip it like this. And I'll speed up the rest of this process, but you can keep an eye on things to see how it works. And with that, the calibration is complete and we can tap on back to camera. Now what we just performed was called Calibrate IMU, but you'll also want to calibrate the compass, which you can do by tapping here and then selecting Calibrate Compass. Now it's going to ask me to confirm that I want to do this, and I'll say yes. And I won't walk you through all these steps because, again, what you need to do is shown on screen. Just follow those instructions and you'll be fine. Okay, the moment we've been waiting for. We can finally take off on our first flight. And I should say, you probably want to do this away from trees and water and any other types of obstacles. So do as I say, not as I do. I'm going to fly this very carefully. You also want to check your local laws around flying drones and what's allowed and what's not allowed. Now, I have a landing pad here, but you do not have to use one of these. I just happen to have one, so I'm going to use it. You could easily take off from the ground and land on the ground again, and that would be fine. So to take off, there's a button in the top left-hand corner which allows you to take off very easily. You just tap it and then slide to the right, and then the drone will power up and start to float, and it'll hover about there. Now, with your left joystick, you can push up on it to make the drone go a little higher. But before I do that, I want to hit the record button so I can start recording some footage. And now I'm going to push up. You can see it goes higher. I can push down on the left joystick and it goes lower. I'm gonna get a little higher because I don't want to get a haircut here. And then with the right joystick, I can slide a little bit to the right. I can slide a little bit to the left. If I push forward on it, I'll go forward. If I push backwards on it, I'll go backwards. And then if I go left and right with the left joystick, it will rotate the drone in the air. You can see it stays very level where it is. A little bit of wind might move it around, but otherwise it stays right there. And when you're ready for the drone to come home, there's a come home button. You just tap on that and then slide, and it will come back to where it recorded its home position, which in this case was around this pad. Now it will not come exactly back to where it was. It'll come to the general area. You can see here it's going to land in the grass, and then it's going to turn off. And there is a successful first flight. Now, just in case you're wondering, aside from one quick test flight before I hit record here, that was my first time flying a drone ever. So that just gives you a sense of how easy these things can be to control as long as you're careful and take your time. Don't be reckless with this when you're just getting started. Take your time like I did. Get used to the controls. Don't push hard on them. Push slow. Make slow motions. And remember, this is a super powerful piece of equipment. It has all kinds of options and settings in it I haven't even looked at with you. It's endless. So make sure first you go through all the menu settings, get familiar with it before you really try to take your drone out on some massive adventure. But hopefully this gives you a sense of how quickly you can dive into this and gives you an interest in perhaps pursuing this further. If you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, please consider liking and subscribing and tapping on that little bell thingy. But until the next time, thanks for watching.